You're listening to Birds Coast to Coast. Here's your host, John Clark and Tanner Riddle.
What's up, everyone? It's John and Tanner on Birds Coast to Coast episode. Who knows at this point? We are 2 weeks away from the regular season beginning. Note to self, don't start a podcast in the middle of the off season because, man, I am so ready for some football, Tanner. I can't wait any longer. I need something. I need a hit. I need a hit of this football season. I need a nice, cool autumn breeze to smack me in the face.
I tell you what, I'm really impressed with how well we've done as far as like cranking out content.
Dude,
Because not every week has something new to talk about.
we're
We
prolific.
technically started in the divisional round. So yeah, we had games and stuff to talk about. We had the Super Bowl to talk about. And we had to, wait till free agency, a couple weeks in between, and the draft was another month and a half away. But then it gets to a point where it's like nothing's really happening.
And we stood there and delivered premium choice content. An hour and a half.
Yeah, we didn't cut it short either.
No, like we were delivering like Skip Bayless tweet length videos. I don't know if you've ever seen Skip Bayless's videos. It's like 29 videos on the WNBA and Caitlin Clark. It's like, oh my God, Skip! Like, what are you gonna talk 29 minutes about for this? I can't handle you right now. He just sits down like, I've seen this WNBA league treat Caitlin Clark so poorly. It's like, and then you're like, gosh, there's still 27 more minutes of this.
I think you're allowed to have a take on stuff like that, but when it feels so manufactured and not organic at all.
It's like I almost want, you know what I find myself doing on his Skip Bayless like long 27-minute rants? I like to like zoom to like halfway to see like what is he on? Like what, like is he on the same point? Like has there been any new content that he's covering? Is there a nugget of information? Like, dang, like that's actually important. I didn't think about that. No, it's never there. Anyway, side topic finished. Guys, we have a couple of things to talk about. Mainly in this episode, we're going to go over the awards that we are predicting for the 2026 season. And we're going to do a quick little preseason wraparound for the Eagles and Cardinals, kind of hit the highs, the lows, see what players did well, kind of talk about what things have been bugging us. And we'll start off with that. That way we can kind of get it out of the way, because preseason, while great, there's only so much we can talk about because really a lot of these players aren't going to be making the biggest differences in the regular season. So while they're great stories and they're definitely good depth conversation pieces, it's not going to be something that's going to be like following the narrative through the rest of the regular season. So I'll start off with the Eagles-Patriots game, the finale of the long awaited Eagles-Patriots joint practices, in which we went officially 1-1 in the 2 joint practices. And then in the game we lost, so it was fine. We went 1-2, whatever. But in the game, it looked very different than the first game. First game, we were dead offensively for literally 98% of it, but we showed a lot more life against the Patriots. We were able to run the ball very well. The main takeaway that I would like to say for this in terms of positives is that the second team offensive line for the Eagles is very good. I think there's an argument that you could probably pluck 3 out of 5 of those guys and put them on a starting roster and feel pretty decent about replacement level value. And in a league where, offensive line is valuable and the Eagles like run the ball as much as they do, I felt really good knowing that if, knock on wood, something were to happen to one of our linemen who, let's be real, often get injured with Juergens and Dickerson and then we got, Jordan Mailata who gets like banged up. And of course, Lane's always missing time. It's important to have those guys in the bullpen to make sure they can come in. So guys like Willie Lampkin came in, the center, the 5'10 center, the beast, the bowling ball, the juggernaut. He plowed the way for Will Shipley for many, many long carries. Let's see, Markel Bell, the large man, the opposite on the spectrum. If Willie Lampkin is the shortest guy in the world on the offensive line, Markel Bell is some of the tallest offensive linemen you'll see at 6'8", 6'9". He's ginormous, a mountain of a man. And let me tell you, this Stoutland replacement, Chris Cooper, or whatever his name is, Cooper, it's Cooper something Cooper. All right, dude's doing well. He is he is coaching these offensive linemen up well. He's really got a good scheme going with this wide zone kind of running scheme going. It looks a lot different than what it did last year. Very, very patient running from the running backs. The linemen seem to really enjoy blocking in this scheme. I really loved what I saw. They were pushing around the Patriots' second team defense like tissue paper, and it was awesome. Now, again, second team defense, but with a new offensive scheme, with a lot of new pieces coming in and out, and like I said, a whole new running system. It's good to see them start to kind of take that on and apply it to a game setting. And apparently, the starters did well running as well in the first practice. Apparently, they were able to run all over the Patriots' first team unit in the practice as well. Now, Tanner, do you think this is what a lot of people are worried about? With Willie Lampkin, a lot of good technique, but people are just worried about his size. Do you think that a lineman that low to the ground and that small would be able to hold up in an NFL starting defense against an NFL starting defensive line? How do you feel about that?
Are we talking from like a health perspective or like a production perspective?
I would say production.
If there was going to be a position on the O-line that could get away with it, it would be a center.
Really?
Maybe even a guard, just because, I mean, the way offensive lines work, like everything's built off like double teams and, working to the linebackers in the second level. Yeah, I mean, you don't really see 6'3", left tackles, right? Like length matters. 5'10" though, that's an outlier. That's really small. I've actually even heard the argument, like the reverse side of it. Like, you don't really see many 6'4" centers as well, just because what they're asked to do is different. Was it Joe Tippmann from the New York Jets? He was a center coming out of Wisconsin a couple years ago. I think he's like 6'4", and I mean, it looks a little funky because, Jason Kelsey, he's a Hall of Famer. Well, will be a Hall of Famer, and yet he was undersized. He wasn't that small. Yeah, when you're that undersized, you're gonna have to be elite elsewhere, like athletically.
And technique,
you're gonna have to be
leverage.
like quick. You're gonna have to have like extreme strength. Can't really speak to him, if Willie Lampkin has that.
Has that grit. He keeps playing.
You're gonna have to have grit. I mean, is he a one contract guy? Maybe. I mean, like if he survives his first contract, that would in theory be a success. He would, be above average of like career length. So it's like if he's like a replacement level player, only plays one contract. Well, if that's the case, then he's probably gonna get a second contract. But like, I think he can do it. And if there's going to be an organization who could figure it out, it would be the Eagles.
The way I see it, you're right. I wouldn't want to commit to this guy long term. Moreover, I won't know if I feel confident putting this guy out there for more than 4 games in a row. You know what I mean? Like, that's where you talk about health. Like, he seems like the perfect, hey, my center just got hurt. Can you go in and get me through the rest of this game and like play replacement level football? I'd feel confident and really good knowing that he's out there, and sometimes you don't. I mean, I've seen teams where when the offensive line starts going down, our backups are so bereft of talent that it literally just implodes the season. So I remember 2020, the whole train wreck of 2020. Everyone seems to think it starts and ends with Carson Wentz. It started with the offensive line getting hurt in 2020. Lane Johnson went down. The guards went down. Everyone at some point missed a large chunk of time in 2020, and that was the worst Eagles season I can recall for quite some time. And then Carson started running for his life and making those dumb Carson Wentz decisions because he was running for his life. So, yeah, it starts with the offensive line. When you don't got good backups, you are really, really asking for punishment. And I'm really glad that we have a good second line there, like a good backup system there for the offensive line. Another good thing I noticed. The running back.
Can I make one more comment on the backup situation?
Yeah.
So, how I would judge him, and I've heard this with quarterbacks, and I'm probably just going to apply it to every position. The difference between like your tier 1 quarterbacks and then like, quarterbacks 25 through 45 is those guys are capable of like filling in for like 1 to 4 weeks. You know,
Mhm.
like say if someone it goes on that short-term IR for only 4 weeks,
Yeah.
and like from a quarterback perspective, can you get me 2 wins, right? Can we just split
Exactly.
it?
Yep. I feel the
And
same way.
that's kind of how I judge how comfortable I am with my backups. Because otherwise, if I'm going to have too high of a criteria, 8, 12, 16 games, can you do? Well, then he just needs to be a starter. So
Exactly.
like, we need to like level set here and have realistic expectations. Can Willie Lampkin be a replaceable guy for 4 weeks when Landon Dickerson has a
Or
high ankle
Juergens.
sprain and
Yeah.
he's going to be on
Mhm.
the 4 week IR? Can he like just help us cut split it in half? Can we win 2 games?
Yep.
Maybe that's a little harsh for center or guard. We
No,
probably
but you're right. I mean, like all those positions add up. I mean, the offensive line is a vital position. So I mean, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
we are talking about wins and losses. Even if they are helping in some sort of way, can you make sure we don't lose extra games because of your positional deficit?
Isn't
Like,
there like a team split with Lane Johnson? Like we don't usually do wins or losses with
oh, it's
tackles,
insane.
but
It's
like I
insane.
think we've seen it in the past. We have like a 750 win percentage with Lane
And then
Johnson,
like a
and then like
420 without
420.
him.
It's like whoa, like this is just one offensive lineman. Like I love me a good offensive lineman, but he's only 1/5 of an entire position group. Like we shouldn't be having that much of a split, but
I've
there's a
always
large enough
wondered if
sample
that's
size.
I've always wondered with that large a sample size, it was if there's like truly like something to that. Like why that drastic of a difference in terms of like the win percentage? Why is it that when Lane Johnson starts, we win that much? Like I understand he's a Hall of Fame level talent, but at the same time, like you said, it's one position of a group of five.
Yeah.
like that's insane. I've always thought that was a weird stat. Um, but the other thing I liked were the running backs seem deep. Not going to go too far in detail with them. Tank Bigsby didn't play. Saquon Barkley didn't play. Shipley ran hard. Let's see. Carson Steele, ex Kansas City Chief, Thor looking blonde hair, long hair running back guy.
Mhm.
Really cool. Had a couple leaps, a couple hurdles, a couple touchdowns. It was just, he just ran hard. He's a fun player to watch. I hope we can practice squad him. I hope we can get him through waivers. And kind of sneak him on the practice squad for a year or so. I don't know. I don't see him being more than a depth piece, but it's always exciting to see a guy run hard and just try to make this team. And look, he's probably gonna get the bulk of the carries next week. And hey, look, I mean, would it be ridiculous if we just let Will Shipley go and let Carson Steele be the kick returner, or maybe if they consider Carson Steele a fullback, which I believe they signed him as a fullback, but they got Cameron Latu, like the fullback, tight end, H back type guy already on the roster, and he is their primary like lead blocker. He seems kind of small to be a fullback, Carson Steele. He does seem to be something that I don't know if fits that role. But if they think he can be that, like that fullback lead blocking type guy, and we already saw how well he can run, maybe they can keep him on somehow. But he was cool to see too. Now the problem I had with the Eagles game was evident from the very first snap of the game. Andy Dalton's been the primary backup, and I don't know if a lot of people realize that. And again, in a league where quarterbacks get hurt and people get banged up and miss games, especially Jalen Hurts over the course of his career, he tends to miss a couple games here and there most years. It's important to make sure you have the guy that you can trust. Andy Dalton is a great name. We remember him. He's the Red Rifle. He's been TCU guy, the Horned Frog. But he's also like 36 and washed up and on like his last legs. We traded, I believe, a 6th or a 7th round pick for him in the offseason. And a lot of people were scratching their head, me included, when it happened. We had Tanner McKee. A lot of people thought that was just oh, we're definitely trading Tanner McKee if we're going to invest draft capital in a trade for Dalton. One, that inflated my belief of how good Dalton was. Why would we give up a draft pick for someone who is this old, and if Tanner McKee's the backup, would be the third stringer? Why are we trading draft capital for a third string quarterback? So a lot of us thought, well, he's probably going to be the backup. We're going to trade Tanner. Well, we never traded Tanner, and Andy Dalton's now in the backup role. That would be well and good if the guy could play. He sucks. He absolutely sucks. Both preseason games, he is just missing target after target. He's not. A lot of people thought that they brought him in because he might know the offense better. Maybe he's more familiar with the Shanahan/McVay or whatever system. He doesn't look like he knows what he's doing out there. The offensive line was good, but like he looked scared and didn't know like where he was supposed to go with the ball. And it's screwing up the development of other players. Eli Stowers has been basically relegated to what a lot of people are considering to be a redshirt freshman year for him. A lot of people consider him to be like game day inactive. That's how poor he's playing at practice and training camp and these preseason games. And we want to see this kid get something happening. And he's been kind of almost on his own head. Like he hasn't just gotten any sort of like big jump or big play. He hasn't really made any big splash. There was a play in the Patriots game where he was wide open on a corner route. I'm like, all right, this could be it. Andy Dalton sails it over his head. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like, I want to see these players get developed. I want to see what these players can do. Just show me a rookie with the ball in their hands. That's all I want. I want to see something exciting. And Andy Dalton can't deliver. So if he can't deliver with this, how's he going to deliver against the first team defense? He kind of sucked in Carolina his last 2 years. Like he wasn't good in Carolina either. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. I would feel really nervous. And then lo and behold, Tanner comes in after Andy Dalton, leads 2 touchdown drives, throws a couple touchdowns, looks good. I don't know why the Eagles are so down on Tanner McKee. He had a bad game against the Commanders in the last week of the season. We had the backups playing against the Commanders starters, and we lost. Whatever. Like I know it. I think it cost us a second seed or something. I don't remember what we lost at the moment, but I think we did lose some seeding there. But at the end of the day, like, am I gonna like jettison the Tanner McKee equity that we've built over 4 years for Andy Dalton? I don't like this.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. When we left the season, I mean, was backup quarterback, where did that rank on your priority list? Like, not high. We're thinking about like, if anything, like we're talking about the starting quarterback. Not that we were truly, looking to replace Jalen. I mean, we weren't. But I mean, it made more sense to talk about what to do with Jalen than it did what to do with Tanner
Long-term
McKee. Like,
contract, future type stuff. Yeah.
yeah, we had Tanner for. Is he going into his last year?
Yeah, this is his last year.
I mean, yeah, but we like when it comes to your backup. I mean, you don't unless you draft a rookie, you don't really have like 4-year plans for guys, and especially when you're drafting. Wasn't he like a 6th or 7th? He was a day 3 pick. So
He's 6th.
yeah, I mean, you're not really like looking to have like backups like long term. That's not a thing. Usually guys sign 1 or 2-year contracts. So it just wasn't that much of a concern to me. And he's shown in the past if he needed to step in,
he's played well,
fill that 4-game gap if we need to. We feel like he is capable of winning us those 2 games that we want.
Yeah.
So this kind of like comes out of like left field for me. I know Andy Dalton's like he's kind of shown that he can be that guy as well. Maybe it's been longer than I realized. Like, yeah, because with Carolina, I don't know how great he was there. But I mean, I guess I can see the interest in him, but not from the Eagles. I thought we already had our guy.
Like the only thing I can maybe think of is like maybe they just wanted a veteran voice in the room, someone who knew the offense, could kind of coach up Jalen a little bit.
Was there any overlap with Andy Dalton and Sean Mannion at any point?
I don't know. I have no idea.
If there was, then that makes a lot of sense. A guy, honestly, I don't even know how old Andy Dalton is. You said 36. He's probably somewhere in his mid to late 30s. Yeah, like you don't. From his perspective,
38.
Is he really? Yeah, I thought 36 was young. He's been around a while. Yeah, if he's gonna play, do you really think he's gonna play as a third string? Like that just doesn't like. He's made
Yeah.
money. He's played a lot. Sure, I know backup's not guaranteed to play either, but third string should, in theory, be even further. So if you're gonna trade for him, he's probably only gonna be like, you can trade for me, but I'm not being a third string, and I'll just retire. Like so, maybe that should have been our sign when we gave up draft capital. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
we're not trading draft capital for a third string quarterback. That we just don't. No one does. Not even the Eagles, who value a deep quarterback room as much as anyone. Not even the Eagles, pay draft capital for third string quarterbacks. So maybe we should have seen it coming, but it still feels wrong. I mean, Howie's earned the benefit of the doubt, I guess. Who are we to question him? But yeah, I mean, but I'm with you. I probably would rather see Tanner McKee.
And all this would be mitigated if he just played serviceable in the preseason.
And I was
Like
going to
he's
say
not.
that too. Even though we're talking about the backup for the Eagles, it's something I can actually relate to here. That goes into my assessment on who should be the quarterback here as a starter. We got to get these guys got to develop. We got a lot of young guys on our
Yeah.
team, and I feel good about Trey McBride, but I still want to see Michael Wilson develop. I still want to see Marv get out of his funk. I don't want to completely wreck Jeremiah Love and make it where he's getting hit in the backfield every play because we have no competent offense.
It's
So
hard for me to know what I have in these young guys if you're not
yeah,
giving them the chance to show me what they can do.
as much as I want to see Carson Beck play as much as possible, I got to give these other guys the opportunity to develop and show, that they can be a part of the
Yeah,
the next good Cardinals team as well.
exactly.
So, and to bring it back to the Eagles, I saw something like, I don't know if there's any validity to it, but Eli Stowers is unplayable. Maybe that's a little dramatic, but again, I don't want to see that for my, second round tight end. Like, I'm not saying he needs to take over as the starting tight end. Dallas Goddard's earned that.
It's early.
I don't want
It's
to
really
see
early.
healthy scratches. Like, what are we doing here? If this is truly affecting his development, then sorry.
I don't.
We just
I
need
don't
to.
think. I don't know if it's an Andy Dalton thing specifically. I think I was really just bummed that I couldn't see any splash plays from Stowers because Dalton just limited everyone on the offense. But I mean, Stowers from the jump, every practice, there's been. I mean, look, I have all these beat reporters on my Twitter feed. I see almost every big play. Stowers hasn't come up. He's been a genuine disappointment from pretty much everyone who's been watching these practices and reporting on them. So it's really disappointing to see, and I really hope it's not one of those he's got the talent but he just can't get out of his own head type of thing, or if he just doesn't have the talent. I mean, it could be either one of those. Maybe they just don't. Maybe they didn't scout right. It sucks too because I don't know if you knew this, but the guy who we went to figure out if he was good was Jordan Matthews. He actually was the tight ends coach at Vanderbilt, and he was the guy who called Howie. Yeah, he's the guy who called.
Wow.
Yeah, he called Howie personally and said, "Look, you got to look out for my boy Eli Stowers. I wouldn't be setting you guys up wrong. Like he's really great. He's a good kid." And
Well,
I
he
don't know.
won tight end of the year award, whatever that's called in
Oh,
college.
I
Like,
know. Yeah. No, I mean the
it
production's
should be an
there.
easy sell. Yeah.
It's insane. And them and Lemon, it's so funny because him and Lemon, both of which are being very, very lukewarm with how we're being reported. Like, not a lot of separation. The team has to force the ball to him to get the ball to them. Like, he's not open. He's not getting open on his own. Like, they have to kind of scheme things to get the ball in his hand. And these are two players who had a lot of production in college. It's so weird that you see these guys who won the award for best positional players at their position in college, and they go to the NFL and they can't get any separation, at least in camp. Who knows? I'm hoping that they end up being great players. I'm rooting for them, man. I really am. But I really want to buy Mia Stowers or a Lemons jersey. All right. I love Mia Stower Lemon. All right, but I haven't said that yet. Yeah, but as of right now, these, whether it's from injuries from Lemon or just not being, twitchy in Stowers, it's just not looking good. So that's all I got on the Birds. What do you got on the Cardinals? What's going on? How was their? I see Marv's looking really good. I know you asked me for a trade
Yeah,
offer today.
I'm gonna mention him. As far as the game's concerned, not really much to take away. I will say, like it's funny to see. Last week we played the Raiders, and people were like, I don't know, Fernando Mendoza looks really good. Oh, Kirk Cousins looks really good. And it's like, all right, well, it's the Cardinals defense.
And
And
then
then
next game he gets a pick
this
six.
week it's against the Cowboys, and they put up 34 points on us or whatever. And then I'm seeing videos. Joe Milton, is he the best backup in the
I see
league?
what you're saying.
Yeah, and I'm like, all right, people, they're playing the Cardinals defense. Like, name someone not named Buda Baker. Like, this is not going to be a good team.
They
Remember
play next
when
week.
remember when we hired Mike LaFleur and we're talking about who's going to be a potential defensive coordinator, and we ended up just staying with Nick Rallis because no one else wanted this job? Like, it's not a good defense. I tell you what, is this going to be the most fun 2-3 win team? Because we're not going to stop anybody. We might put up 24 plus points a week. That's pretty good for a 2-win team here. And I mean, it might be a little generous with 2 wins. There's some relevant fantasy players on this team. Trey McBride, Michael Wilson, Jeremiah
There's gonna
Love, Marvin
be
Harrison Jr.,
so
Jacoby
many.
Brissett. These guys are interesting.
It's gonna be garbage stats city.
Yes.
Like garbage stats. They're gonna get down 21 points, and they're just gonna start humming it into Trey McBride. Dump offs to Jeremiah Love. It's gonna be great.
What I will say though, and I am trying my best to not overreact. The offense though looks very clean, and it looks like people are getting open. I know it's the preseason. It is the most basic coverages. No one's blitzing. It's frowned upon to blitz in the preseason in the NFL. I get it. But it is fun to see. It looks like we're actually drawing things up for guys, specifically like Marv. And it'll be fun to see if Mike LaFleur can help get that Marv confidence back.
Oh, it's
Because
exciting.
a confident Marv might be the best player in the NFL. Like I think he's that talented, and I truly contribute all of his struggles in his career so far. A little bit to injury, but a lot of it to we'll give him 1 or 2 targets in the first half, and then he's just not that he's checked out, but he's just
like feed the guy.
Not as engaged as he needs to be.
Oh, I know. I'm really excited to see what a productive Marv looks like at his peak. It's his. I mean,
I remember his rookie year. Again, I think we talked about a little bit this last week. He had his rookie year, 900 yards. That's a fine rookie season, and he had the 8 touchdowns, and that's actually really good. But that was the same year that Malik Neighbors kind of popped as well. And if you look at the average targets per game difference, we're talking 5 to 6 targets on average for Marv, who was the 4th overall pick. And then Malik Neighbors is getting like 12.
12. Yeah.
And I don't want to. It feels like I have to. It sounds like I'm dogging someone else to dimming someone else's light to shine brighter, right? But come on, man! Like we're not talking apples to apples here. The way Marv was used and the lack of prioritization to get him involved the last 2 years, I mean, it's been criminal.
Yeah.
And let's see what it looks like in Detroit, because there may be some fantasy football fans who are going to learn Drew Petzing, Amon-Ra St. Brown needs to be getting double-digit targets a game. Why is he getting 6? Or, Clayton Adams, the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys. Look at that run game last year. Look at the Cardinals' run game this year. And then compare it to the 2 prior years to that. Look how much better our run game was when Clayton Adams was the offensive line coach. Look how much it dropped off, and look how good it was last year with the Cowboys. Like, Drew Petzing's kind of really reliant on, maybe someone like Clayton Adams. that explosiveness from Jahmyr Gibbs just quite isn't there, and there's just some kinks in that Detroit offense. Like we'll see what Lions fans and fantasy owners are going to think about the Lions this year. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye on that. Yeah, I'm excited to see what when I heard that Michael do what?
What pick do you have in the draft on Sunday?
I have the 5th pick.
Okay, so and you're gonna tell me if Gibbs doesn't fall to you, if Gibbs falls to you, you're gonna be like,
Oh heck no, I'm taking no. I have the 5th pick. I think I'm 4 pick. I might be 4 picks late on getting Gibbs.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, if he was there, you'd take him. All right.
Oh, in a heartbeat. But I don't have the 1st or 2nd pick.
Yeah, I love that.
If I had, just curious. I mean, who would you take in fantasy wise? Maybe this is a different pod for later. But like,
Bijan.
if you have the 1st pick, are you taking Jahmyr or are you taking Bijan?
Bijan.
You're taking Bijan?
Easily.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I've equated Jahmyr as the Tyreek Hill of running backs. Tyreek Hill in a prime Tyreek Hill year, it's the quintessential. He's gonna average 22, but it's not gonna be
like 38 and 12.
Yes, yeah. Like that's how. If you look at Jahmyr Gibbs' stat lines week to week, they're very reminiscent of looking at Tyreek Hill stat lines in his prime.
And Bijan's going to be 17 to 28.
Yes, Bijan is so consistent. Like, and he could still explode for like 35. You know what I mean? But like he's such a dynamic weapon that is utilized so much more frequently than Gibbs. I don't know. I that's a different pod, but I like both. But I would go with Bijan number 1 if I had the option, but I don't. So it's fine.
You're not going Gibbs too?
Maybe Chase too. But anyway.
Oh, so okay. But you're on the. I don't know if this is Jahmyr hate. I mean, I know you're just talking about like high volatility, but like Jahmyr, if you got to make every pick, Jahmyr might be falling to 5. I don't know. Interesting.
James Cook? No.
Yeah. But no, I actually want to talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. He's been making some pretty sweet catches. I saw the one where he caught
it and he got his toes in today. I was like, whoa.
Oh, the toe drag swag today was, well, first off, credit to the person who got that on camera. That sounded like a fan. I don't know if you heard the audio on that, but you can hear the guy. He's like, I just got that on camera. It's awesome. That was hey, it takes a perfect pass to pull that off too.
Oh, so yeah. That was a
great touch by Jacoby on that. But man, that's not an easy catch. I mean, he's like 6'3", 6'4", but he seems to be able to maneuver like a 6'6" guy, if that makes sense.
No, he's got tremendous.
He's very smooth. And then he made another catch. I believe it was yesterday on the sideline. Again, it was actually another great throw. Pretty good coverage, and he comes down with it, and he gets up and he kind of like, does like the scream, like, and flexes a little bit. And I'm thinking, uh-oh, like, is he feeling himself?
Yeah.
And, is he going to get 4 targets in the first 2 drives of each game? And he's going to have 3-4 catches for 40, 50 yards to start every game. And then that deep ball, that confidence is going to come out on that deep ball. And
here's what I'm thinking, Tanner. One of us is going to get a steal and redraft for Marvin Harrison Jr.
It's going to be one of us.
I'll tell you why. 1, underperforming season last year. Yep. After being hyped up to like a 3rd round pick, 4th round pick. So there was like that, there's that backlash to how high he had been drafted versus what people got. And then the initial camp report showed that he was like, oh, I can't do anything. And that's when a lot of people started paying attention to their fantasy draft rankings. Like people started seeing that first. And I think that's what's in everyone's head right now is, oh, this dude's a bust. Everyone kind of just checked that off, stopped paying attention. But we know that's not true. We know he's on the up. And we know that if everyone else isn't thinking that, then he'll just, dude, I saw Marvin Harrison Jr. at my brother's league. He fell like a rock in their draft. Oh my God. You can get this guy as like a bench player or like a late tier flex. And dude, like if you can get Marvin Harrison Jr. as like a late flex after getting your quarterback, that's a good. All right. Anyway, again, this isn't a fantasy football, but you know what? Hey, this is Birds Coast to Coast, and we're
Well,
talking
I
about
think a
Cardinals.
lot of that. I think what kind of like plays into that is when Marv went down last year, Michael Wilson stepped in and got like 14 catches in his first appearance, and he won a lot of people fantasy leagues last year. And I think people, mainstream or nationally, I think they're already labeling him as a bust and Michael Wilson as the number one wide receiver. I love Michael Wilson. I think he's great. I want him to be here long term. It'll be interesting to see if we can get a deal with him done. He's now eligible. He still has another year on his contract, but he's eligible to sign now. We'll see what that looks like. But the talented, like the super talented guy with the huge pedigree and the prestige is Marv. And I'm just not quite ready to give up. I might not ever be ready. I will be too late on Marv. I will never be too early on giving up on him. I'll still hold on even when he's been out of the league for 3 years. I'm that guy who's like, I think he still got it. And yeah, I'll definitely be late to the Marvin Harrison is a bus party.
Yeah. All right. I'm
One more thing about the Cardinals.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jeremiah Love. He's not like suited up, ready to practice, but no, there was a video of him doing some stretches, and it was very like low, pressure. So I saw like doctors were commenting on it, and they're like, yeah, he's not like leaning on his front of his feet, so it's not gonna put a bunch of pressure on his ankle. So it's very flat-footed stretches. Not really much to take away. It's still in limbo, the status of him for week 1.
If you were
we'll
to
see
bet,
what it looks like.
If you were to bet, do you think he'd be playing week 1?
My gut says yes.
I think so too.
And it may be a more limited role than expected. Now, part of me is like, if you're gonna like reduce his workload, he's too young to be like risking further injury or further damage.
Just shut him down.
But if the plan was to get him 25 touches, I kind of have the gut feeling that they're probably going to limit it to like 18. And so I see the argument of like, well, shoot, if you have to reduce his role by like almost 33%, then don't play him yet. He's not ready. I don't know. My gut is telling me he will play week 1, but it might be at a slightly reduced role. Yeah. But again,
it'll be one of those like I think we said earlier, like you get the inactive list and you're just kind of crossing your fingers. You're like, all right, is he active or not? And then Jay Glazer shows up on like the Fox pregame. All right, so we got this guy's in. He's out. Actually, we just found out Jeremiah Love is out 100%. For the game. Yeah, we will not know until Sunday morning. Yep.
100%.
That's it.
That'll drive fantasy owners nuts.
Oh my god! And you know, again, don't want to stay too fantasy heavy, but what do you do with Jeremiah Love as a fan? Like, do you late second, third round? I don't know. Like, I don't, because he was going in late first, and now it's like, I don't know. I'm not.
And again, one more last thing to mention about the Cardinals, because the game's not as relevant to me as some of the off-field stuff is. Josh Sweat was activated from, PUP list. So he's back. He was wearing an e-brace, but apparently that's very common for him this time of the year. This isn't new. You know what? I lied again. One more last thing. Trey Benson. So he was added to this waiver/injury list. Have you heard of this before?
No, but I did.
It wasn't just waived. It was a waiver injury. So essentially, what it means is he was waived. He got put on waivers. If he clears waivers, he actually comes back to us and goes straight to IR.
Oh, wow.
So there must be some logic that I just don't understand. Some, full disclosure. But why would you? I mean, is it because you can't waive an injured player? Like, how does that work?
I have no idea.
Why can't he just get waived? Isn't that awkward?
Don't know.
Like the card,
I know.
From his perspective, he's like, "Oh, you were willing to waive me, but now I have to come back." Isn't that weird? I
Yeah.
assume it has to be because you can't waive an injured guy,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's your only way you can create a roster spot is if you put him on this list that could add to the IR. But I think his time at the Cardinals has probably come to an end. I don't think we'll see another snap from him.
Yeah, it does seem like that this is not it's not working out for Trey Benson. It's a shame too because you guys seem to have a lot of high hopes for that guy. He had some pop,
Yeah, he
but
was the third
it's just
round. He was
injuries.
a third round pick in 2024, and I mean, man, he's got the injury bug, man. Like he's had some moments. Yeah, last year he actually started week 1 against the Saints. He popped off for like a 50-yard run,
Oh, I remember. Yeah,
and that represented 11% of his career rushing yards. But I was like, oof, like
that's not great.
no, it's not, and it's a shame because he can never really get it going. I
Mm-hmm.
think he was drafted to be uh, a backfield duo with James Conner, and then maybe even like take on the full load. Obviously, that's not going to be the case because we signed Tyler Algier and we drafted Jeremiah Love. So hopefully, we can see him somewhere else succeed.
Yeah. All right, so we're moving on to the next section of our pod, and we are going to go through a myriad of NFL awards and kind of give our idea of who we think will be winning these awards. In the past, we did like our division winners and what the best bet would be. But since all of these are plus money, I mean, if you get the award guy right, you're going to be making good return anyway. So there's no point in trying to get good return on this if you just happen to get right. For example, we're going to start with the smallest award in relative nature and move up to the MVP. So we're going to start with the Comeback Player of the Year award. The Comeback Player of the Year award finalist, I'll just list off the top 5, is Patrick Mahomes, Jaden Daniels, Kyler Murray, Aaron Donald, and Malik Neighbors. And tied with that is Daniel Jones for 5th. Which of those, Tanner, do you think should be taking home or will be taking home the Comeback Player of the Year award?
Patrick Mahomes is plus 185.
Yeah.
This isn't an award I necessarily just remember going into every year. Like, what are the odds? That's crazy high odds. Am I wrong on that? Like,
Well,
he is the.
if you remember, DeMar Hamlin was like minus 1,000
Oh, was he? Okay.
because
So
like
other than
him just
like
playing.
literally dying and then coming back to life,
Yeah, it was
like
yeah.
this seems like crazy odds, like a huge favorite. And it
And if I
makes
remember,
sense
wait,
because the
did
bar
DeMar
is so
Hamlin
low.
did DeMar Hamlin not win that year?
I think he actually did win.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah, but no, you're right. Of all, if you take out all the years that someone almost died on the field, you're right. It's pretty good odds for Mahomes.
Right. Now, I mean, I don't know if you remember, they actually did kind of specify the requirements. This is actually intended for guys who are overcoming like an injury and not
Yeah,
sucking. There was like a 2-year stretch where like Geno Smith won, and it wasn't because he overcame anything other than like bad performance. And they were kind of like, I could see why it was left up to interpretation, like how someone could interpret the award that way. But they actually did have to come out and say, guys, this is for someone who like suffered a major injury and is able to like get back to their typical production. So other than suck, like Aaron Donald's actually on here. He's not overcoming anything other than retirement. So he really shouldn't be on here. I'm going to trust that the voters got the message here that he shouldn't be on here. Look, I agree with the odds. Mahomes seems like the obvious favorite. I expect him to produce high enough and well enough with the Chiefs. I picked him to actually go to the playoffs. He seems like a clear, easy pick. Are we going to treat this like we did the divisions where it's like, but if we're going to put money on it, this guy's actually really interesting?
no, I mean I think what we said earlier works. We're just gonna pick our guy.
Okay, well, I think Mahomes is the runaway favorite here. If I had to just get it right, I would go Mahomes here.
Gotcha.
There are some interesting guys though. Kyler's interesting. Malik Neighbors. I'm actually pretty low on the Commanders. Like Jaden Daniels being the second best odds doesn't really do anything for me.
Yeah, Aaron Donald's pretty crazy being on there just because he would be coming
Micah
back from
Parsons
retirement.
would be
So
interesting, but it sounds like he might miss more. Like he's gonna at least miss the first 4 games. It sounds like, and some. So it's gonna be a little bit harder. Travis Hunter could be a fun one.
I just think if Patrick Mahomes shows anything, and the fact that he'll be back week 1 means we'll have a full body of the season to kind of show what he can do and compile stats. So
For
I
a
feel
quarterback,
Mahomes,
if he throws 22 touchdowns, 8 interceptions,
he's getting
3,800 yards, that might be enough.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Coach of the Year, the award that Nick Sirianni shockingly has never won. All right, let's go on. Our top 5 are Ben Johnson, Kellen Moore, Robert Saleh, Jesse Minter, and John Harbaugh. I'll start first. I think that I'm going with Ben Johnson.
Did he win last year? That's interesting. I did not think you would go him.
Did he win last year?
He did not. I believe it was Mike Vrabel. Was it not?
Feeling pretty good about Ben Johnson. I think this is a year where, if Caleb Williams is going to take that next leap, I feel like one of the beneficiaries of that would be the team's record and moreover, Ben Johnson. So I think that's how I would get to Ben Johnson.
So Ben Johnson was going to be my pick, and I hate agreeing with you. We need to make this more interesting. I'm pretty high on the Bears too. The award should be who essentially increased their win total the most. So it shouldn't be the coach who wins the most games, but most of the time, or at least a lot of the time,
yeah, I agree.
If you're expected to win 12 games and you win 13, people kind of like don't care. And they're like, oh, well, like 13 wins. He did a great job. It's like, yeah, but you expected him to win 12. Like, did he really add that much? I would pick Ben Johnson as well. That's not the name I thought you were going to pick.
What name did you think?
I thought you were going to pick Kellen Moore. And maybe you're saving, another player for a different award. But I know how you feel about, the Saints' potential this year. And
they're all getting hurt. All that excitement's dead.
Yeah,
Olave's hurt.
That's
Alvin
fair.
Kamara's hurt. Tyson's hurt. They're all hurt.
Kellen Moore's hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I had to put money on straight up who I think's going to win, I would lean with Ben Johnson. I'm looking at some of these other names. Brian Schottenheimer's kind of interesting to me. Joe Brady's interesting because sure does help when you have the best, what I think is the best player and quarterback in the league. So that's always going to raise your floor. I mean, if the Bills win 12 games this year, are we not going to talk about Joe Brady like in that discussion? And,
that's a good point. No, Brady would.
And if you say yes, well, what was the floor we had on the Bills? It was already like 10 games. So, the difference between the floor and just getting in the conversation, it's not that far. So I think Joe Brady's an interesting one. Yeah, I mean, I like Liam Cohen, but they're said to, be a regression team. And he could technically do a better job, and the Jags could be a better team this year, but might not necessarily equal 13 wins like last year. Yeah, I'm going to go with Ben Johnson here.
Cool. All right. Next up, we have Defensive Rookie of the Year. And the top 5 that I see listed here are Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs, David Bailey, and Ruben Bain. I feel really torn on this because Ruben Bain fell so far in the draft, so much further than he was supposed to. And yet here he is leading the odds on and being the odds on favorite to be Defensive Rookie of the Year. It's almost like he should have been drafted higher. I don't know why all of a sudden are people big on Ruben Bain. It's almost like he gets the pads on and all of a sudden people remember he's a really good football player. It's really
check the receipts.
Crazy how that works.
Go back to our draft coverage when we were doing mock drafts for the Cardinals. Go back. I said I would strongly consider Ruben Bain at number 3.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think we took him one time. Or did we not? I don't know. Maybe we
So
did.
remember, we did multiple drafts. We wanted to see, okay, what were our options if we went edge 1st?
Mhm.
What happens if we go tackle first, and then Jeremiah Love? The exercise was less about the specific player we went
Yeah.
first, but the position and see what was left over. Well, I chose Ruben Bain as my preferred edge rusher,
Yeah.
and so yeah,
He looks strong. I mean, he looks just as strong and powerful as I thought he would be coming out of college. I mean, seeing the tape and just seeing his measurables, and or I guess everyone worried about his lack of measurables. Dude looks like a football player, man. Like I'm really excited for him. I hate to go with the favorite. I got to go Ruben Bain. Like I've been on this guy for quite some time. I'm really excited that he's getting the notoriety and the pub that he's getting right now. So I'm just going to continue with it and just ride the wave and just say, hey, we were here first. So what do you think?
because you took my guy again, so I'm gonna go someone different because I'm a big Bane fan. Could you not? Does he not feel like a guy who could easily get like double digit sacks for a decent team?
Oh yeah,
You
oh
know,
yeah.
even if the Bucks don't win 12 games, you could see him being super productive. And you know how this award works. Getting double digit sacks, I mean, you're in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But to be different, and actually feel strong. Like I think this person is absolutely worthy of being a preseason favorite. If the Cowboys defense goes from
Oh,
32 to 24, and that's enough to get them 10 to 12 wins, I think we're going to look at Caleb Downs. Even if he doesn't necessarily have the production of like, 7 interceptions, he's going to get a lot of credit because he was the first pick, their first round pick. I think he's going to, especially he's going to be on TV a lot. You know how that works with the Cowboys.
mm-hmm.
He's going to be the guy who is going to be pointed out. Whether it's the Troy Aikmans or the Greg Olsons or whoever's calling the game. You know how many times the Cowboys get a stop on third down? They're going to look at the impact Caleb Downs had here on this play.
Anytime Caleb Downs creeps up the line of scrimmage, there's going to be a
Look
little
how
yellow
versatile he
circle.
is.
Someone's going to draw a little yellow circle on the screen. They'll say, there's Caleb Downs. Let's see where he plays. Let's see what happens.
Could he be like a Tyrann Mathieu type player just because of the versatility and the high IQ play? Again, 1A, 1B for me. Bane is a awesome choice. I don't feel bad about choosing Caleb Downs.
All right, moving on. We got Offensive Rookie of the Year, an award that was once being top 5, being held by my boy Jordan Tyson. And man, let me tell you, I was in so much copium when we were figuring out like if his hamstring injury was really bad or not. Every night I would check the Vegas odds for Offensive Rookie of the Year and just see if there was like some sort of shift. And each night that we went, then there was no update. His odds just stayed at plus 650, which was like right in where it was the whole time. And I was like, oh, I guess he's fine. I guess he's fine. Vegas would know. He's fine, and all of a sudden he's hurt and I don't even see him on this list. He's plus 4,000 now. Not great. So the top 5 I see are Love, Jadarian Price, Carnell Tate, Fernando Mendoza, and Dejon Stribling. Notice that guys like Mekhi Lemon, Denzel Boston, Jordan Tyson, and Casey Concepcion, all first-round picks, not on this list. But Dejon Stribling and Jacoby Lane are ahead of them, who are second and third-round picks. So if this tells me anything, a lot of people are buying camp hype. All right. Who do you got for Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Not gonna lie, it's not the best crop of guys.
No.
If we had a better quarterback class, I think there would be some better options. But we're back-to-back years where it really feels like there's only one quarterback that gets us real excited, and that guy we've been told he ain't playing. So for him to have the 4th best odds is kind of funny. Homer pick. I don't know how, barring any significant injury, knock on wood. Jeremiah Love, I expect to have a lot of production this year, and some of it might not even be the most efficient stats, but he's going to probably get 1,500, combined yards. He may get some touchdowns vultured from Tyler Algier this year, maybe even next year. So we'll see. He should have a high workload, and yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, Deshaun Stribling and Jacoby Lane. I mean, these guys are second. I mean, to be fair, Stribling was the first pick in the second round, but it's a second round pick, and Jacoby Lane was a third round pick. These guys got better odds than the first round players taken ahead of them in the draft. It's super interesting. Yeah, they're definitely camp guys. So I don't know. Yeah, Jeremiah Love seems like the obvious pick here. I don't think the team success is going to play too much of a factor here.
I'll go one step further. I'm going to pick, and this is a shocker. Give me Jadarian Price. All right. The reason why I'm going Jadarian Price is not because I think he's the better player. I think he'll get the better stats. Okay. I think in a Seattle offense that is going to be high flying and scoring a lot, typically, probably, with the incredible amount of offense they have, and just their system that they have. I think they're going to be putting up a lot of touchdowns, and I think at the goal line, Price is going to get a lot of touchdowns, a lot of opportunities. I just think he's going to have a good amount of touchdowns. It's going to sway the voters, and I do think this is just a weak class overall. Is this a year where you just get a guy who scores like maybe 8 touchdowns on the ground, 750 yards, and it's like, all right, I guess he wins Rookie of the Year? That's kind of what I see for this class. I mean, other than that, I was going to be the guy and say, there was a receiver who missed the first 4 games of his rookie year and ended up winning Rookie of the Year, and that was Odell Beckham Jr. And then I was going to say, if Jordan Tyson does the same thing, who would be that shocked if he missed the first 4 games and then won Offensive Rookie of the Year? I don't know. I'm going to stay with my safe bet, though, and I'm going to say Price just because it seems to be the safe pick. So I'll go with Jadarian Price. I hate that I said that. It's not a sexy pick at all. But if I had to choose one guy and just kind of logicked it out with a flow chart, I think I just kind of fall on Price for that reason.
So he was a first round pick. Okay, so like he wasn't some throwaway pick. He's going to be in a lot of meaningful games this year, and that matters. I feel like we're having to play psychology here too. Is what are fans going to notice? And fans are going to be influenced by guys that they see weekly, certain stats. So how many like linebackers, get 140 tackles, and we correlate that with, oh, he was a really good productive player. He's also going to have the opportunity. They lost Kenneth Walker in the offseason, and we don't know the status of Zach Charbonnet. He's walking in as running back 1, I would think.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He's going to get a lot of opportunities.
And so, yeah, I mean, Jeremiah Love is drafted at the very top of the draft. Jadarian Price, very bottom. Even though they're first round picks, they're on polar opposite ends of it. One's going to play a lot of more meaningful games than the other, which is kind of how we have very similar odds. Plus 550 for Love and plus 600 for Price. I don't think it's a bad pick. I think I bet you, if you were to ask a lot of like just fans off the street, who the heck did the Seahawks take this year in the first round? I'm not sure a lot of people would actually know the answer to that because he was a backup running back at Notre Dame.
Yeah. So, moving on to Defensive Player of the Year, I noticed a trend. The first 10 people on this list are defensive ends. That says something to me. The first non-defensive end is Jalen Carter at the 11th, most 11th. That gets the 11th ranked guy on this list. All right, and then it goes Danielle Hunter. All right, and then it goes Fred Warner, and then Abdul Carter. So you start getting other guys. You start getting linebackers. Start getting little, different looks at these positions. I just found it so interesting that like defensive player of the year, there's 11 positions on defense. And the first 10 are all from like one position, or I guess 2 if you count edge. So like that I found that one to be really interesting. And just to lay them out, it's all the usual suspects for defensive end. Honestly, it's your Myles Garrett's, your Will Andersons, Aiden Hutchinson's, Max Crosby's, Nick Bonito, Nick Bosa, TJ Watt, just on and on and on and on. All the good edges you can think of. This is what I'll say. Myles Garrett is going to eat. He just is. I mean, I saw what happened when you brought a player like Saquon Barkley, who is uber talented from a pathetic franchise, and he just felt a jolt of energy in Philadelphia and turned into a player that was legendary. Myles Garrett is maybe on the Mount Rushmore of best defensive ends in NFL history, like maybe knocking on that door. And if he gets a similar boost to like be revitalized and play in front of like, LA and just an amazingly like, I guess, a competitive division with amazing talented players on his team and high Super Bowl aspirations, why wouldn't he be able to, with the talent in his body, be able to easily get this award? Easily. Am I off, or does this just seem like a slam dunk if he just stays healthy?
No, there's really no logic to not pick Myles Garrett unless you're just a hater, or maybe there's a stat that shows guys don't win back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year awards. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but that's literally, like, if that were the case, that's literally the only logic you could use here. Yeah, I think the Saquon Barkley example is actually a pretty good one. He set the sack record last year on a team that isn't going to give you that many pass rush opportunities because of game script, because you're trailing, right? You're going to want to run the ball more when you're ahead. That's less opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
He's literally now going to a position where you would expect this team to put up 30 plus points a game. He's never been a part of that. He set the record last year with that, not in his favor.
Yep.
Barring health, there's no like Will Anderson, great player. Aiden Hutchinson, great player. Max Crosby, all these guys are great players. There's no real reason to not pick Myles Garrett here.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Myles Garrett is a legendary player, and
call it. It might be a respectful take. You're talking about position wise, like how far it goes until we get a non edge rusher.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Carter being the first, and then if you actually look at the defensive, not just the defensive backs, but cornerbacks specifically, tied for the highest in terms of cornerbacks, Quinyon Mitchell,
really,
Cooper DeJean. Those guys are in the same classes.
They're in the same bucket.
Devin Witherspoon, Derek Stingley, Christian Gonzalez.
Wow,
like, those are like kind of the guys we talk about as being like the tier 1 corners.
And they're so far down the
list. But we're throwing Cooper DeJean in there. We're throwing Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, Quinyon Mitchell should absolutely be in that class. But generally speaking, are we like mainstream wise, are we really adding Quinyon like consistently? We did the position rankings earlier this offseason. And remember like the tier 1 guys, it was like 6 of them. I don't think Quinyon was a part of that. Yet the odds are saying, oh, he absolutely is.
Mm-hmm.
And so is Cooper DeJean. So
found that good find. That's really interesting that you found that. All right,
some of us are Eagles fans, so
yeah,
we noticed that.
That's right. Offensive Player of the Year. This one's a little more exciting because it's not all one position. I'll just read all of them here. We have, starting from the back, James Cook, Jonathan Taylor, JSN. Wow, that's pretty far back. Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Justin Jefferson. That's pretty high up. Puka Nacua, Jamar Chase, Bijan, and Jameer. And I will say Jameer is at plus 550. Bijan's at plus 900. The second place is almost twice as high the odds. So I was saying Bijan, but Jameer is like twice as likely as Bijan by odds to win Offensive Player of the Year. A lot of Jahmyr Gibbs hype.
There's a lot of fans. There are a lot of fans who are going to learn who Drew Petzing is this year. It sounds like. and it's not just Detroit.
A lot of bag holders coming up this year.
Yep.
A lot of bag holders, a lot of bet slips that are going to be unpaid.
I think it's pretty obvious. I don't think either of us are going Jahmyr Gibbs here, especially with those odds. Those are not good odds. Ooh. What are your thoughts on it? It seems like we're strictly making this the not quarterback award. We cool with that?
I guess so, because the MVP just seems to be the quarterback award. I mean, that's kind of how they're splitting up these two awards anyway. So, when was the last time you saw a guy win Offensive Player of the Year as a quarterback? When was the last time you saw a non-quarterback win MVP?
I don't remember. I don't remember the voters or the NFL like specifying that. But you're right.
Mhm.
Like it's kind of understood.
Yeah,
We're not going to. If we're going to give the MVP to a quarterback, they're not eligible for Offensive Player of the Year, and I'm cool with that.
I got my guy. Here's my guy.
Okay, go for it.
If Joe Burrow stays healthy, I'm giving it to Jamar. Jamar puts up video game numbers.
Yeah, he's awesome. I mean,
honestly,
a scary potential injury yesterday.
I saw.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
But it sounds like he's okay.
Yeah, I mean, and again, this is all barring Joe Burrow health. So, I mean, if I were to be if I were to just pick Bijan would be my guy, but I don't know. I feel like receivers tend to win these awards often now because they're so easy to put up video game numbers, and I don't know if JSN's going to have the same type of season, which is why he's low. Justin Jefferson was 5th on this list, but I don't know. I don't know if I truly trust Kyler 100% to get him an Offensive Player of the Year award. I definitely think he'll bounce back, but top player that's not a quarterback, I don't know. But if Joe Burrow is healthy, that defense isn't going to be that much better. So they're going to throw a lot, and Jamar has been proven to be someone who they get the ball 10 plus times a game. And at the end of the day, if you got someone racking in 125 catches, 1,700 yards, bingo, bango, bongo, you got the Offensive Player of the Year award. So Jamar Chase is for me. What do you got?
I'm asking for a friend. So if we think Joe Burrow is going to have that kind of a year, and unfair, unprompted question for you, but do we ever see quarterback wide receiver duo win these awards
together?
Quarterback win MVP and the wide receiver win Offensive Player of the Year.
Did Brady and Moss do that in 2007?
If there was ever a year,
yeah,
it would be that year.
It'd have to be that year.
Okay, think about it. Brady set the passing touchdown record, and Randy Moss set the receiving touchdown record. By the way, he destroyed that record. It was 23. So, I guess my point stands. If we have to go back that far, then typically we don't double up here.
Mm-hmm.
I might go a little not off the board. He's clearly on here, and he's relatively high. It's a name you didn't mention. I'm going to go Jonathan Taylor. Do you remember the year he was having last year when they were 7-1? They got up to that start.
That he was having a better year than Saquon was at the time, the year prior.
He was in MVP conversations.
Yes, and it was because
before the Colts completely fell apart.
Because people were saying, well, Jonathan Taylor's getting touchdowns, Saquon wasn't at the moment at that point in time. And they were saying, well, if Saquon didn't get the MVP, why would Jonathan Taylor? So, yeah, I see what you're saying. He was having a great year.
There was a lot of Jonathan Taylor hype last year when the Colts were rolling. And he didn't completely collapse, but he was nothing compared to what he was when Daniel Jones was healthy. This is going to rely a lot on the health of Daniel Jones, and I know that's a risky proposition. I'm gonna go with Jonathan Taylor though. He ended up scoring 18 touchdowns last year.
Wow.
I mean, he was putting together 3 touchdown games. That's gonna go a long way. You know what you say though?
Aren't touchdowns? There's a lot of variance in touchdowns. Do you think that's not a chance for some regression to the mean?
So I'm looking at my other options, and as great as these players are, there are arguments against them.
No, of course.
We have our hesitations with Jahmyr Gibbs and Drew Petzing.
Bijan should just be obscurity.
Bijan, what does that Falcons offense look like at the quarterback position? Asking for a friend, but if we go Joe Burrow at MVP, then what What are we going to give Jamar the award as well? Maybe. Puka actually, there's rumors of like a potential suspension with him. Again, that's going to be hard to overcome if you're missing, 4-ish games or so. That'd be interesting. Justin Jefferson, how high are we on Kyler? That's interesting. Christian McCaffrey, can we rely on injuries? JSN, I mean, he won it last year. We're going to give it to a guy 2 years in a row. I don't know what the trend is with that. Saquon, new offense. Maybe he can get back to his 2024 year. Like, James Cook, again, if we're going to go Josh Allen MVP, are we going to give James Cook Offensive Player of the Year? There are like decent hesitations with some of these guys. And Jonathan Taylor has the hesitation. So it's a deep group, I would say. That's why I was so comfortable going down as low as Jonathan Taylor. I think, what is he, like 11th or so on here? So tied for 11th. I'm going to stick with Jonathan Taylor.
All right, cool. And to wrap us up, we have the MVP award. And those awards are, we have Brock Purdy, Matt Stafford, Caleb Williams, Dak, Drake May, Herbert, Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, Josh Allen. Who do you got? Take us home.
It came down to two guys for me. And I don't know if I gave too much of a hint, but I'm expecting the Bengals to do a lot this year. I'm excited for them. They're one of my AFC championship teams. I'm going to go with Joe Burrow. I think if they're able to win 12-ish games, even if he doesn't have his best statistical season, I think he's going to get awarded with a lot of credit for like the Bengals saying, "Hey, this is back pay for what you had to do in prior years." Sure, like 5,000 yards on an 8-win team only goes so far, but we're going to reward you from what you did in the past, having to go through those historically bad defenses. If the defense is just good enough, they're going to have relevant games late in the season. And Joe Burrow's, when healthy, has always produced. I think he could get awarded with an MVP with a 4,500 yards, 30 touchdown season when the team wins 11, 12 games. I think a lot of, and this happens in the NBA as well, a lot of it's like narrative based. How many times has LeBron James been the best player in the league and didn't win MVP? Like, it's crazy. He only has 4 MVPs. But like Russell Westbrook won, James Harden won. Like, it's a narrative based award, and I could kind of see the NFL tapping into that as well. Josh Allen has his, Mahomes has his, Lamar Jackson has his. Last year we got Matthew Stafford join the club. I could kind of see them trying to spread this out a bit and try to award guys, and I think the narrative would be in Joe Burrow's favor if the defense were to step it up just enough to where the Bengals are a good team. Cool. He could be like a James Harden type where, yeah, he's no one would actually consider him the best player, but like narratively speaking, I mean, just he's so productive that it might be his time.
Before I tell my MVP, I wanted to say some little oddities I found in the odds. Cooper DeJean is at 50,000, plus 50,000. Patrick Surtain is plus 100,000. So for some reason, Cooper DeJean is twice as likely to win the MVP than Patrick Surtain. But they were ranked as the same for Defensive Player of the Year. Kind of surprised about that. I don't get that at all. Also, Derek Stingley is the same as Cooper DeJean at plus 50,000 and twice as likely to win MVP than Pat Surtain, which a lot of people consider Pat Surtain to be the best corner. I don't know. I just think that's really weird.
He won Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago.
Yeah, I don't understand how that worked out. But anyway, my MVP, I have my gripes with this guy, especially with me being a Jalen fan. There seems to be a budding war between these two guys. One guy wins. He is leader. He is the consummate professional. Other guy is on the training camp field, making out with a supermodel girlfriend.
Ooh.
The other guy never wins a playoff game. Great hair. I got to go with Justin Herbert. And the reason why I'm going Justin Herbert is this. If Mike McDaniel can do with Justin Herbert what he was able to do for Tua and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle and make that offense look good. I mean, let's be real. The Dolphins had something going there for a little bit. Then what are we going to see with Herbert? They got some good weapons on offense. Lad McConkey's good. Quentin Johnson's actually turning it around. Amari and Hampton's a really good running back. I really think that this Chargers offense could explode this year. And if someone is the beneficiary from that, it would be the quarterback. Wanted to go Caleb Williams, but I already gave the coach of the year to Ben Johnson, and I didn't want to double up coach of the year and MVP. So I felt pivoting to the other guy I expect to take the leap would make more sense. So I'm going to go Justin Herbert. I think the stats will be there. I think they'll also play good ground control, pound the football, so they don't throw as many interceptions. I just think it's a great setup. I think with Jim Harbaugh being there, I think they're going to make sure that they play safe, but also have this explosive system as well. I think he's going to teach good fundamentals, not make stupid plays. I just think it's a match made in heaven. I hope it works. I hope it works because that would be really cool to see. I'm really interested to see what this offense looks like. And if it pays off, we're going to see an MVP Justin Herbert season.
I mean, vehemently disagree, actually.
Really?
I'm a Chargers guy. You know how high I've been talking about the Chargers. I love Jim Harbaugh and I love Mike McDaniel. Like, I think it's going to work. But I think there is a scenario where it works so well they might be good enough to win 14 games. I mean, that's an elite season.
And they just give it to McDaniels the credit?
Not necessarily. I just think in a perfect Jim Harbaugh world, you could win 14 games looking like 23 touchdowns and 3 interceptions like Justin Herbert did in 2024.
And they just won't win the MVP award.
Like, I think it's practically impossible for a Jim Harbaugh quarterback, as good as they could be or as talented as they could be. I think it's impossible for a Jim Harbaugh quarterback to win an MVP because I think in a scenario where the Chargers hit their ceiling, it's going to be like an Omari and Hampton. Like, we're going to give Omari and Hampton the offensive player of the year because he's the breakout player. I just don't see a scenario where the team success is there, but I don't see a scenario where the Herbert production is there.
Interesting.
And so from a fantasy perspective, I don't expect to draft Justin Herbert this year unless he just falls to me with my last pick.
No. Oh.
I believe in Herbert and I
Wow.
believe in Mike McDaniel, but I think the offense will be really good. I just don't think the production is going to quite be there for Herbert.
You know, Mike McDaniel is the offensive coordinator for this team, right? Not Jim Harbaugh.
Right, but you really think you think Mike McDaniel's identity is going to overshadow Jim Harbaugh's identity?
Why
Do
would
you
they
think
bring
this
him in?
team's actually going to look more like the peak Dolphins?
Yeah. Why would they bring him in?
I think he's a creative, unique mind.
So you think they're
But
going to bring him in and say,
I don't
"All right,
think Jim
everything you've
Harbaugh
done,
is going
change
to.
it."
I don't think Jim Harbaugh is going to let anyone change the identity of his offense.
You can have philosophies, like, foundational ideas, but the offense will
I
still
think
be
he's got.
productive.
Well, good. I'm glad we completely disagree here because this is something
good.
I'm struggling with. I feel very confident that Jim Harbaugh is not going to let. At what point in his career, whether it's San Jose State, whether it's Stanford, Michigan, with the Niners, these last 2 years with the Chargers, they've had the same identity, and it's been ground and pound physicality. unless he had just some kind of like, you know, mid-age crisis, I can't imagine seeing a Jim Harbaugh team just throwing the ball around, high flying, speed over power and physical. Like, I don't see that. I see I see bringing in Mike McDaniel as like an opportunity to bring in concepts that maybe haven't always fit the Harbaugh system, but like that's it. Just like concepts here and there. I don't see the whole like ideology, completely change. Yes, Mike McDaniel's the offensive coordinator. Jim Harbaugh's the head coach. And like at the end of the day, if it doesn't fit I think Mike McDaniel has to fit Jim Harbaugh, not Jim Harbaugh fit Mike McDaniel.
I think that's a fair observation. I just wonder what the point of bringing them in was, if you could have found someone who more aligns with that system as well. But if Mike McDaniel's as good as an offensive coordinator, then he should be able to critique his system to fit the Harbaugh philosophy. I see what you're saying. Like, just because he's like, a great mind. Well, if he's so great, he should be able to make it work within these confines of whatever Harbaugh wants to have this offense look like. Because great means great. It doesn't mean I can only do this one thing.
Okay. If we were to swap, and I think a lot of my argument is like Jim Harbaugh based. If you were to swap Jim Harbaugh with like an equivalent version of him, like an Andy Reid type, maybe that not equivalent, but like I think you understand what I'm saying here. I think Mike McDaniel probably models his ideology much closer to Andy Reid than Jim Harbaugh. Would you agree to that?
Mm-hmm.
I could, in that scenario, if you were to simply just swap the two, then I would be with you. I might actually be predicting, like, I actually might take Herbert. Herbert would be a great pick. I could see Herbert throwing 40 touchdowns with almost 5,000 yards. But to me, Jim Harbaugh represents like a governor, like on a car or like a golf cart. There's only so much I think you can go in terms of like this specific debate of like MVP and can he put up the production to justify it.
Cool. I think it's a good.
I thought you were actually going to go with the way you were describing him. I thought you were going to go with Dak Prescott.
No, screw that.
You said, well, this is a guy who gets compared a lot to Jalen, and it kind of is like hard. And I'm like, oh no, he's going to go with Dak Prescott.
No,
he would be a worthy pick.
Philly don't like Justin Herbert. Not a lot of people like him. They think he gets a lot of the. Because his spot in the rankings is where Hurts should be.
But that's how much prestige matters. Where he got drafted, he will forever be a 6th overall pick, like first rounder. Yeah. Jalen was a 2nd rounder, and if Jalen was a 1st rounder, like hands up, like if he went where like Jordan Love went. Jordan Love was a 1st rounder. You get that title and that tag for the rest of your life, and I think there's a fair gripe from Eagles fans there.
Dude, we couldn't take him in the first. We had to take Jalen Reagor. We had to better take the other Jalen. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up with the extra point real quick, because we got some stuff to chat about.
The extra point.
Mine's gonna be quick. It's a shout out. Dolly Parton died this week. Tim Curry died today. Really sad to see both of them go. It was really one of those moments where like a lot of people from, I guess you could say, both sides of a lot of different, I guess belief systems and cultures really came together and saw that, there was a lot of value in Dolly Parton, and a lot of people were really, really saddened by her passing away. Tim Curry, voice of a lot of great characters, great actor, great comedian actor as well, great physical comedy type guy. Voice of Nigel Thornberry on the Wild Thornberries. If you don't know that, that's probably where you'd hear most if you're a 90s kid. But it got me thinking, those are two people who are like universally beloved. And in this polarizing world of like, I guess, polarization and politicization of everything, it's a dying breed to know of like people who just were universally beloved. And I struggle to think, and I wonder, I'm going to kick it to you, like, do you think there's anyone out there who would fit that category right now, who is just like universally beloved by everyone. Some of the names they threw out that were previously lived people were like Mr. Rogers, Steve Irwin, those types of people who just like everyone really loved and adored. I wonder if you can come up with one. Maybe I can think of one. I don't know.
Maybe there's like an athlete, maybe that. Let's be honest, like a lot of it's politically driven, right? And so, yeah, someone like Dolly has like a huge Q rating, and this isn't a political show, but like, I saw like two screenshots, one from Trump and one from DSA, like the Democratic Socialists of America, and they both had positive things to say about the same person.
That's insane.
And like, to kind of further your point, I don't know who the next person is going to be to get positive, comments from both those
I
accounts.
just don't know who that even could be. I don't know.
I mean, the answer might be no one. Look, I don't want to like.
That's not great.
It's no. I mean, look, there actually is one name I can kind of think of, but I feel a little weird because I hope he has 50 more years, 100 more years left to live. So it's not like he's close to like being of age. I suggested maybe like an athlete. I think Peyton Manning would have a high Q rating. I don't want to put I don't like putting that out there. It just feels a little weird. So like I'm going to focus the conversation on someone with a high IQ rating. I feel like there's not many people. I don't think he's polarizing. Even Tom Brady feels a little polarizing, don't you think?
Do we think maybe, guys? I don't know if this fits the bill, but could we fit someone like Tom Hanks in that bill? Or is he just?
He may have just enough haters. I think you might be a little too vocal to fit this. Like,
okay, maybe
it's not. I mean, to be fair, I don't have a problem with him. I think he's. I mean, it's not bad, but okay, like he and Tim Allen. I mean, Tim Allen's a little. He's vocal as well, so it's kind of hard to. Look, it's tough. This is a tough category.
It's a tough conversation. It's a really tough thing to even think of. I can't think of someone who's just universally loved as much as Dolly was or Steve Irwin.
Because I'm sticking with the athlete. Does Michael Jordan have a pretty high Q rating? I mean, I keep bringing it back to politics, and I know that's not fun. What this podcast is for. He famously said, like, everyone buys shoes, right? So you don't really want to speak too much on certain issues. I think that probably went a long way for his popularity as well, because he's not wrong.
That's about it. I mean,
I feel like MJ has a high Q rating.
If nothing else, I mean, just this final thought or this extra point was more not just to like put you on the spot to think of someone, but just to kind of, I guess, bask in the glory of two people, specifically Dolly, who meant so much to so many people. I mean, I was watching a video today that like there was like that she funded this program that like sends books to kids every month called like the Imagination Library or the Imaginary Library or something. I just think that's amazing that like they send kids books every month for free just for signing up for it. I mean, like that's awesome. I mean, like who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't feel like the person supporting that program and creating that program is a good person? So. It just sucks that people are saying 80 it's a good long life, but some of these people stay around a lot longer than 80. Some people who
I'm gonna be honest, I think I saw something, and it's only because it was brought up recently, but like there was something about maybe she talked about her health back in like May or something, but kind of went past me. Like
head. Yeah.
A lot of celebrities have access to health and what health resources that us normal folks don't have, and so 80 does feel on the lower end,
doesn't it? Just a little bit. I don't know. Everyone's different. Everyone ages differently, but
everyone's different. But statistically, like the top 1%, from like an household perspective, they live about 10 years longer than a middle class person on average, statistically. So that's kind of where I'm getting my gut feeling from.
Interesting. All right, what's your extra point?
So it's going to be in the football world, but it's actually going to be in the college. Well, no, it's actually an NFL story.
Oh, I know where you're going.
I think this is crazy. It doesn't apply to every player. I think there was like 22 guys.
Yep. Okay, I know where you're going with this. Yep. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But there are guys who made NFL roster. Well, they were playing preseason games, and because there was a ruling from, I think this is actually like local judges made a ruling that essentially granted additional college eligibility to some guys who declared for the draft who are now on NFL rosters, or only if they were to not make a roster. And it's tough, man, because we're talking about loopholes, and part of me was like, do I want to just talk about loopholes just broadly? Like, what do we think about loopholes? Like, I hear people say, well, I mean, like, it's not their fault. If it's allowed, then they should be allowed to do it. Like, you're not breaking any rules, but still, like, that doesn't answer the question. Like, just because you can, should you? But we'll stick to like the football side of it. Isn't it crazy? Like, someone said on these like guys, Pro Football Reference page, it's gonna say like, I played for Texas Tech, LSU, Ole Miss, the Cleveland Browns, and then LSU again.
It's funny, that guy
or the Eagles. Like, name any. You go from college to the pros back to college, and like your Football Reference page is gonna look funny. Like, I got a kick out of that, because you know how many times I look up guys' stats on Football Reference, and like, I don't know. I just think that's funny. Yeah, I mean, letter of the law, it sounds like they are eligible to come back. It does sound like they get the short end of the stick. Just feels like this COVID thing is never going to end. Like, COVID was 2020, and yet it's 2026, and we're still granting guys like extended years. And usually I am pro player in most scenarios, but this is a zero-sum game, assuming that I'm using that phrase right. For every player that we're granting extra access to, that is a player we're taking like away from on the other end. So sure, we're like, hey, good for this tight end who got cut by the Browns, who's going to join LSU. He played in meaningful games last year. May get him a little sweet NIL deal, and he's going to extend his college career by one more year. But think about the other tight ends in LSU's room who just spent the entire offseason probably busting their butt, super disciplined, learning the new playbook. And then in late August, a guy who was just taking NFL snaps walks into the room. I think that affect, like, I don't know the scenario, but like, hypothetically, what if that player had some kind of NIL deal, and now that's actually like, it's like up for grabs because he ain't going to play now. So, look, I know the conferences have come out and they're starting to make rulings and saying like, hey, we're going to fine teams and coaches and suspend guys if you participate in this. College sports is for college players, blah, blah, blah. But like, this is kind of like a mess. But I also feel for the players who they may have made decisions back in January that they would not have made. This ruling actually came in like after they made decisions. And so I don't know. I mean, I'm not really sure there's that many more various opinions other than what I gave. I just wanted to mention like how crazy this whole thing is. It is a one-time thing though. This is not something that's going to happen every year. This was a unique circumstance. So
yeah, it's very interesting. The NFL actually just released a memo basically saying if a college player or a team that had a player who was on the practice squad or whatever goes back to college, that if they decide to go back and say, you know what, I decided something else, I want to go back to the NFL, they are not allowed to go back to the NFL for that year. And apparently they are also, I believe it said something like they would be not subjected to a draft the following year or something. Like, so like they would basically have to sit out a year and then hope that someone signs them the following year. Like, so they couldn't re-enter the draft and try to pull like a baseball draft where like I got drafted higher next year. So I'm gonna see if I can get drafted again.
My understanding is, have you seen in the NBA these guys, like international guys, go play international for a couple years, but the team retains the rights?
Yep.
The guy I think we're kind of thinking of, just because he's, more publicly like going to go to LSU, whereas all these other guys, they haven't committed anywhere. This guy was undrafted, so like nobody owns his rights technically, I think is how it would work. But you're right. If you were like a 7th round pick, if you were to go back, I think in this weird scenario, I think that team may actually still own your rights. I don't know about that. So
theoretically, though, does this not open the door for players before this memo thing came out? Because I was kind of spitballing. Like, does this lead to the creation of the NFL having to have an open market for their draft picks being contracted by negotiations instead of slots? Because at this point, yeah, this guy was an undrafted free agent. But what if there's a 6th round pick that doesn't like his slot or doesn't like his position or doesn't like where he's being placed on the team, and he just decides to go back to college with an extra year of eligibility? You know what I mean? Like, why not a 3rd round pick? Why not a quarterback in the 1st round who doesn't want to go to a team that drafted him? These colleges can provide money with NIL packages that are beginning to rival the slotted positions of some of these draft picks. And if
I think you're understating that they're more than rivalry. There is a calculation here where it's like, if I don't get drafted in the top 20, primarily quarterbacks, I will make more money Carson Beck at Miami than I will my rookie contract.
What's stopping those guys from going back to college? And now all of a sudden the NFL has an issue. Now they're having to compete with colleges over money, a professional league.
Yeah, see, I don't think it's actually an issue. I think it's actually great. I think a lot of these players need to play more. I don't want guys to be incentivized to not like, the NFL is not designed to be a developmental league. College is. And I think it's actually good. This is why I actually think the NIL is beneficial for everybody. The players get more development. The colleges get to have these guys on their teams for maybe an extra year or two, longer than they normally would.
Are they?
And
though?
the NFL is getting more developed guys, from their free developmental league. So
okay, so you said something. You said the colleges get their players for an extra year. No, they're not. Every year is a new year for recruiting for these guys. With NIL, every single player is a free agent at the end of every single year. And every single college is trying to get a little piece of the pie every single year with their packages trying to draw players off. You're just getting, you're really not like committed to these guys aren't committed to you. Like, so like, yeah, hopefully they develop more, but they could just say, screw you and go to a different college. You know what I mean? So
okay, maybe the specific school doesn't necessarily. I mean, if the guy chooses to stay, that's different. But sure,
I see what you're saying.
College
the player can stay
as a whole,
yeah,
benefits.
Is that
it's
good for
not
college,
uncommon
though?
for some of these guys who, let's say, these high-profile universities where, they got a pretty set roster, but yet, they just lost their quarterback from the last 3 years. We kind of want someone who comes in as like a college veteran. Let's go to a smaller school where he played the last 2 years and got, almost 30 games under his belt, and then he transfers to, one of the higher program schools and is more ready than even the 4 or 5-star freshman that, that team would normally have, had.
I think this whole thing just proves how poorly ran NCAA football is. I think it's
100%.
I think NIL has created a Pandora's box that is truly unclosable at this point, and I don't know where we go from here. I think there are some regulations and rules that need to be in place that really limit and maybe even almost like almost like a salary cap. It sounds crazy to think, but like there needs to be some sort of like way to mitigate this unkempt capitalistic mindset of college football. Like we really need to figure out a way to make this thing manageable. And I feel like every couple weeks, like we're getting judges involved with, oh, now this player can stay for another year. What is going on? Can't we just set a certain amount of rules and just get these guys through the system and get them done? And you know what? It reeks of guys who, like you said, like this is going to harm the other people who were looking for a position, a young guy who may have had a role. But now we got these like dudes who are just hanging on by a thread, collecting a paycheck because they don't want to stop playing football. What right do they have? Dude, get your old ass out of here, man. Like, oh my God. Like, you're done. You're over the hill. Your glory days are past. The NFL don't want you. You're going to take my snaps? Get out of here, weirdo. My goodness. I hate it. I hate it.
Well, let me ask you this: you mentioned NIL. Technically, I actually have a bigger issue with, like, say, the transfer rules. I think that would be my, like, if I wanted to kind of like tighten some of these screws, that's where my attention would be. Um, in the real world, what other job is like restricts you from, being able to be mobile? And at the end of the day, college is intended to better young people, or of any age, to be fair, to like better themselves for whatever career choice that they make. And so these guys are choosing to be football players. So like that's their career choice. They're majoring in football. And so it's a unique situation. The prior system was so restrictive. You had to like sacrifice years of eligibility if you were to transfer, and there's so many other factors that like go into it. Your coach gets fired or your coach leaves for another school. He doesn't have to sit out or face any repercussions, but the players do. I definitely think there's a middle ground here, because every year being free agency, that's insane. That is so unsustainable. Um, I really, other than certain players, I personally, I even think players are hurt by it because they're just chasing NIL. I have a bigger issue with the transfer free agency every single year than I do with the. I don't have a problem with players getting paid. I think they should. I would just try to, maybe we have like you can't enter the transfer every single year because that's unsustainable. What about like every 2 years if you're eligible, like something like that?
Yeah.
But it's a mess. There's no leadership. I'm not looking for the federal government to solve it. They can't even solve federal government issues. So like, who are they to like fix college sports? Like that's insane to me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's weird. Okay. So yeah, that was a good extra point. I like both of our extra points. That was good. Next week, we're gonna keep moving forward. We're probably gonna make some regular season predictions. Just because we'll be on the dawn of regular season football. Thank goodness. Maybe we'll make some Super Bowl predictions. Maybe we'll just get those hammered out, see who we pick to win the Super Bowl. We'll pick our two teams and see if we can finally get it right this year. All right, Tanner, anything else before we log off for the rest of the day?
I think I'm good.
All right, as always, I'm Tanner. That's John. This has been Birds Coast to Coast. Later.